بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا وسيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما أما بعد فإن أصدق الحديث كتاب الله وخير الهدى هدى محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وشر الأمور محدثاتها وكل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. أوصيكم ونفسي بتقوى الله سبحانه وتعالى. And I advise myself and you all that we should fear Allah Azza wa Jal by doing what He has commanded and by staying away from what He has prohibited. That is the path of success for the believer. Now Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in His book in Surah Al-Ma'idah, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, Al-Yawma akmaltu lakum dinakum wa atmamtu alaykum ni'mati wa raditu lakum al-Islam deena. And this day I have perfected your religion for you and completed my favor to you, and I am pleased with, and the translation sometimes says I have chosen, but the verb is actually waraditu. I am pleased for you to have Islam as your deen. Ma tastalzimu alayhi ma tamsiku alayhi. What you hold on to as a practice, that it be al-Islam. Other verses say udkhulu silma kafa, that you must come into the silma, meaning Islam, kafatan. That a person must come all the way into it and not try to choose parts he wants to, leave parts he doesn't want to. But it must be kafa, all the way. So this verse, alhamdulillah, it proves many things. The first thing it proves, of course, is that Islam is perfect. And it cannot be added to and subtracted from. The second thing, among the things that it proves, is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has completed His favor to the people who hold on to the deen of Islam. Talked about it during Jum'ah. Who remembers? 2 favors. What were they? His favor is covering 2 things in the deen of Islam. See that? The favor is dini now and dunyawi. So once I gave you one, the other one, khalas. La yujad thalith. Dini wa dunyawi. This is His favor to us, subhanahu wa ta'ala. It is in the religion. His favor is in the religion that He made it perfect. وَالنَّاسُ يَجِدُوا مَا يَحْتَاجُونَ إِلَيْهِ. The people will find whatever they need as a religious practice, a religious belief, and also their attitudes, meaning their character and the way they get along with the other creation, they will find it in Islam. And they don't have to look anywhere else for those things. And Shaykh bin Baz, rahimahullah ta'ala, made a point. He said that the religions before our time, they were not completed, so therefore what happened? What happened? When they looked for things, they could not find them. And so what did they do? Ibtada'u. They innovated religious beliefs, they innovated religious practice, and what some of us who became Muslim are still suffering from today, they innovated behavioral pattern and claim that it was religious, or innovative behavioral patterns and claim that it was socially acceptable to do certain things, and it's never been socially acceptable before Allah to do certain things because they could not find. He says some people did it based upon their ignorance, jahlan. Other people did it, well, how? Knowing, and building upon the fact that they could innovate character traits in people and behaviors in people. Aisha radiallahu anha said, what? 2 hadith that knock out people claiming that they could do whatever they want to do. She said, men ahdatha fi amrina ma laysa minhu fahuwa rad. And the second hadith, men amilan ليس على أمرنا ومن عمل عاملا ليس على أمرنا وليس من أمرنا فهو الرد. 2 hadith that come should be taken along with what hadith? This one should be taken the way people take the religion. This hadith, 2 hadith should be taken along with those who like to use the hadith إنما الأعمال بالنيات. It should be taken along with this. إنما الأعمال بالنيات. That verily, that the deeds are by what? النية. It should be taken along with this because this completes the understanding of this. The niyyah is where? في القلب. وما يحتاج النية. Acts of ibadah need what? النية صالحة. Acts of ibadah need niyyah صالحة. So for people who say, I did evil in front of you and everyone else, Wallahu ya'lam ma fi qalbi, and Allah knows what's in my heart. La. And they want to use this hadith. La. You only got half the picture. This hadith is dealing with the ikhlas of the person. The person's desire to serve Allah. The person's desire to please Allah. That's what it's dealing with. As for how it comes out, these other hadiths say that if it comes out, غير متبع للنبي صلى الله عليه وسلم رد. And if it comes out, if the person did it and wants to lead, one hadith is dealing with the leader. They're dealing with the leader of it. Man ahdatha. He's the one what? Ahdathahu. He started it. It's him, the starter. The other hadith is dealing with who? The followers. Man amila. So the first one's dealing with the leaders of the bid'ah. The one who leads it. Laysa amrina min dinina. Our deen does not cover this action from this person. Reject it. From who? Reject it from who? No, reject it from who? No, I mean, who should reject it? From what person is it rejected? From anybody. From anybody. It's rejected from anybody who does it. The social excuses won't work. We accept his bid'ah because he's, give me some of them. Because he's wealthy. We accept his bid'ah because what? His lineage. Be blunt. Because he's black. That's black. Who would have thought that a black man's a mubtada? Beyond belief. How could that be? He's been enslaved, he's been in chain, he had a slave, he got a slave name, la 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 la. How could he be a mubtada? He ain't got no problems of his own. No. No, if he's a mubtada and he's black, it's rejected, but he doesn't reject it. How do you reject it? Now, and if that won't work, I'm saying, you yourself, what do? You get out of Dodge. You move. That's right. You take your heart and go. People have a problem with that part. He's a mubtada. You want to sit around and complain. He's a mubtada. He's doing bid'ah. How do you know that? I saw him do it. Why are you sitting around with him for if he did the bid'ah? What good can come from sitting with him if he's doing bid'ah? You sitting there. Leave. What's the hadith that proves this? You just said it. Men ra'a minkum munkaran falyughayyirhu biyadihi. Hey, now, biyadihi. Yughayyirhu biyadihi. What's taghyir biyad? What's it mean? Authority. It means authority. Some people in this land misunderstand what that means. They think anybody who can punch anybody in the mouth has authority. Some people think this. Anybody who can stand up and get in somebody's face has authority. That doesn't mean that. It's actual and true authority. The actual and true and just authority. in a place in which nobody can come along and do what? Usurp his authority. It means that. Like the father in his home. He's authority to say this child can do this and can't do that. 1, 2. Nobody says anything. Whoever says, he says, he last but not least, he says, I have the authority to say it because he's a just man, and everybody knows he's a just man. He wouldn't be saying this unless it was actually the truth. Well, I'll tell you that. Next step is what? Speak. Is it speak out? Is it speak out? Because many people in this environment think that speaking out is their right. But people think it's everybody's right to warn. Speaking out. That is something that came from Jahiliyyah, that a person, everybody has the right to speak out. If everybody speaks out, you know how many ideas there could be in a general speak out? How many ideas? How many? Thousands. For everybody who comes to the door, what do you say? Well, I disagree with that. And him too, because I got another outlook. Everybody want to call their perspective the Islamic perspective. You know what perspective means? You know what perspective means? It means the way you see things. How can somebody say he's seeing things according to Islam without learning about Islam first? You hear it a lot, the Islamic perspective. How can you perspect in Islam? You didn't learn Islam. You could never use those two words together. It's an oxymoron. If you didn't learn Islam, you don't have an Islamic perspective. How could that be? So you do what? It means that a person, because the operative word here, the key word is change. Not chaos, but change. Not argument, but change. Not fighting for years, but change. What happens? It goes from bad to, no, I'm talking about the change. It goes from bad to good. It goes from bad to good. And when you see it not doing that, it means that people don't understand the process of change. You only change something if it's evil. So with a tongue, it means a person, a scholar, gives what's known as a bayan. يبين الحق للناس حتى يعرفون غلطهم ويغيروا. He speaks and gives irrefutable evidence which people cannot refute because what is the mind? The mind is a stream of thoughts, not necessarily disciplined at all. Isn't that what it is? People go blah, 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 think something else, blah, 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 blah. The more intelligent a person is, the more he can stream. If computers were the first stream, when people stream. When people stream their thoughts? Streaming. You stream. You go, what does that have to do with this? Well, I just think that this has to do with that because I thought it was like this and like that. Oh, some of us are trained in that. It's called rhetoric. We used to pick our leaders according to it. He could really stream his thoughts and link them up together like this. He should be leading because, you know, he can put it down. You heard what he said? He can drop it. We used to pick our people according to their rhetorical abilities. Meaning, what appeared to be knowledge or logic to make somebody think they should do what he says. That's not knowledge. Knowledge is mundabat. Knowledge is accurate. And no stream of thought is going to be able to combat it or stop it because it's what? It's accurate. Knowledge is accurate. Mundabat. It's accurate and structured. That's knowledge, not thought. Not talk based on thought or imagination or ideas. Everybody's giving their idea, and people think that's justice. But in many cases, it's a waste of time. If not based upon the book and the sunnah, it's a waste of people's time. So the scholar speaks and gives exact knowledge, an accurate knowledge, and people see that they should change based upon this dalil. Min al-kitab wal-sunnah. Alaysa kadhalik? Bala. Hakada. Or last, but certainly not last, is what? Or biqalbihi. The person knows he doesn't have authority. The person knows that he cannot speak to prove what he needs to do, but he knows it's wrong. He does what? He takes his heart and protects it and changes his environment so that he no longer is affected or afflicted by sitting with Ahlul Bid'ah. Every sitting with other people has an effect upon those people. And please forgive me for being general. Child Talent brothers come to be more specific. I'm being general. Every sitting has its effect. Every sitting down with somebody else. So let's say a few words here. So Aisha radiallahu anha, Mu'mineen, said that along with the niyyah, the person's deeds must be what? Must be tabi'an lis-sunnah. And if it's not following that, it should be rejected. Not accepted because the human being has a particular description or particular lineage or from a particular background. No, rejected. باب ما جاء أن البدعة أشد من الكبائر. وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته. أن البدعة أشد من الكبائر. This says that bid'ah is what? It is worse and more destructive than a major sin. It is worse and more destructive than a major sin. Yeah. But wait, let's go back a minute. The people, the Christians and the Jews and others, they couldn't find what they needed, so they did what? So they innovated, correct? And they based their value upon what they innovated. Their human values, the things they value, are based upon what they innovated to get near to the Creator, which means they sing what they want to sing, they decorate what they want to decorate, they dress how they want to dress, they make up new holidays. They claim that religious holidays are what? They claim that holidays are not religious or are not religious, like what? Like Thanksgiving. There's no religious background to it whatsoever. There's nothing in it in Musa's deen, nothing in it in Isa's deen, alayhi salatu wasalam, and nothing in it in the deen of Muhammad. But notice what happened? It is crept in, and now even some of the Muslims, yattabi'uhum for Thanksgiving. They follow them in it. More and more following them. They don't understand the deen of Islam, and so what they do what? They're going to follow the bid'ah of Ahl Kitab, and even they have no connection to anything religious. They have something they call blessing the food during Thanksgiving. Anybody ever seen this? A person who never prayed in his life, or hardly ever prays throughout their life, sits in front of the table and starts to do this long, long prayer you didn't know they knew anything about. It's all to gobble up the food. But this is happening now in our environment. This is happening in our environment now. People are inviting people. So you have to do Thanksgiving because Thanksgiving is a time when all the family can come together. Never mind they eat. Don't understand. That's a bid'ah. It's a bid'ah. They're following what? Ahl Kitab. Ahl Ahwa. And Mushrikeen. Don't do it. And keep your shabab away from it because this is about the shabab. They want to convince the shabab to change their value. It's necessary for you because you're meeting about school. People are meeting about having school. Your children must have an Islamic identity. And that's easier said than done. The identity must be something which is immersed in Islam from head to toe. That means that every time he turns, he has to have something which reminds him of the ni'mah in his environment and the ni'mah in him so that he's reminded that he is a believer. That's easier said than done. That's one of the keys to teaching a child the religion, that he maintains the identity and you remind him of the ni'mah that's in his environment and the ni'mah that was in himself so that he can do what? So that he can use the environment to please Allah with the ni'mah. Not turn and see something which is opposed or talking to someone as a friend who is opposed or being in an environment which opposes his religion. Which one are you closest to right now? It's in opposition. You don't have time to argue with one another. The environment will oppose you enough. Because remember, the child's going to be a product of what? Environment. The da'wah, if you're giving da'wah, you have to keep in mind the environment that you're living in. And you have to stay close by the people. ما جاء إن البدع أشد من الكبائر. Oh, one more thing. Something that they invented in personality. How do we believe? What do we believe about human beings? How are human beings? Human beings are born how? What do we believe about human beings? How are they born? How are they born? كلكم ولد على فطرة. Fitra, which means he has an inclination toward Islam. And yes, yeah, he has inclination toward a believer. But walidahu yuhawidanahu or yunasiranahu or yumajjisah. But his parents turn him into a Christian, or turn him into a Jew, turn him into a Christian, turn him into a fire worshiping Magian. They do it. How do they do it? Because they don't give proper tarbiyah. They did it. They removed their guard. They didn't teach him, and so his name may be Muslim, but his values are Jewish. His name is Muslim, but his values are what? Christian. His name is Muslim, but his values are what? Are Magian, Sabian. That's his values are socialist. He believes that equality is something that everybody should have, and everybody's equal, and there's no authority, and your authority is apparent, you don't have any. It's not fair for you to say what you want. Nobody can say what they want. Everybody's the whole same. Or the new technology makes a kid believe that his habits, his personality should fit the newness of the technology. So it's okay for him to intrude on Facebook in somebody else's business. It's okay for a girl to say everything about herself on Facebook now. That's the new characteristics for the new technology. That's nonsense. That's nonsense. Absolutely. Absolutely. There's a fitna. But that's because you have to maintain Islam in what you do. It's all right to have technology. Islam encourages technology. If you don't keep up with the people who are around you, you will be left behind, and you could be hurt by that. You could be hurt. Man ta'alama lughata qawmin amana sharruhum is a famous saying in Arabic. The one who learns the language of the people is safe from their evil. He's safe from them harming. He understands what they're talking about. He understands technology, understands what they're saying when they're saying it. But if he's going to sit there and say, well, I'm Muslim, I don't have to understand nothing, he's wrong. The only way he could possibly be happy is to worship his Lord, and then take the opportunity in the heavens and earth, give it to him by his Lord, and then take the gold and the silver and the iron, give it to him by his Lord, and use that to build a society. Not sit around with his hands in his pocket like he doesn't belong in a society. Not sit like that. Now the boys, especially boys, what kind of advances are they getting? Are you readying them to advance in the religion and the world, or are you readying them to be afraid of the world while they advance in the religion? Because there is no such thing. Those two things don't go together. Once a person advances in the religion, he will look at the stars. إِنَّ فِي خَلْقِ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ وَاخْتِلَافِ اللَّيْلِ وَالنَّهَارِ لَآيَةٌ لِأُولِي الْأَلْبَابِ الَّذِينَ يَذْكُرُونَ اللَّهَ قِيَامًا وَقُعُودًا وَعَلَى جُنُوبِهِمْ وَيَتَفَكَّرُونَ فِي خَلْقِ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ رَبَّنَا مَا خَلَقْتَ هَذَا بَاطِلًا سُبْحَانَكَ وَقِنَا عَذَابَ النَّارِ. It says in the translation, in the creation of the heavens and the earth, the fact that night turns to day, the ayah, the whole thing is what? It's an ayah. It's a sign. It's alama. For who? People who have true hearts. They think deeply. Those people, they remember Allah. Qiyamin, when they're standing. Qu'udan, when they're sitting. Wa'ala junubin, when they lay on their side. And what do they do? They think deeply about the creation. They have knowledge about the creation of this. They sought knowledge. They're scientific even about this. Information about the heaven and the earth, they know things about it. They're not sitting back and it's going past them like this. And they're like, well, I'm just going to sit around. And the kids are going to sit around too. We're just going to sit here like lumps on a log. I'm going to deal with some perfume and forget about it. That's the wrong position. And what do they say? Once they consider it, once the system of what's known, the system of the law made to them clear to them, because he gave them the opportunity, right? He gave human beings the means to be able to examine, research. Means come from Allah. They don't come from men. Allah gives people the means. If they won't use the means, it's their fault. They don't understand. They want to sit between the buildings. This is not the deen of Islam. And they say, Rabbana, our Lord, ma khalaqta hadha batila. You didn't create this falsehood. You didn't create this so people could hey and ho and raise their hands and go back and forth. You didn't create this so people could rap and do hip hop. And you didn't create this so people could insult one another and curse at one another. You didn't create this so we could drop our kids like cats and rabbits around the country and around the city and just leave them, blah, 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 this one over here and that one over here. You didn't create it for that. People have to take responsibility for what they leave, for what their water made. They have to pay and they have to build for what their water made. And don't talk bad if you're not going to take responsibility for what your water made. You got nothing else to say. You're done. What you got to talk about? Understand what this is. Understand our role in it. It is to worship Allah. Dinian, as Sheikh Muhammad Aman Jami said, he said his soul is pointing toward the heavens and his body is on the earth, taking advantage of the sustenance. He said his soul is in the heavens. He prays. And his body is here on earth, and he's taking advantage of the rizq. He's whole. He's complete. And not fooled. The point is, since we believe that people were created with fitrah, meaning fitrah as goodness, right? So do we believe then that human beings at some point in life automatically become evil? Is that our belief? Is that our belief? Do you believe that about teenagers? Huh? Do you believe that adolescents automatically are evil? Think about this now. Hold up now. Let me ask that question again. Are you afraid that once your child reaches 13 years old, he's going to be unmanageable by you? I believe some of you. People said no. I know some of the brothers said no. I know this one particular brother, he said no. I believe no. But you know there are many people who do. Who, although we don't believe that human beings are basically evil, that's Christian. That they were born in sin and iniquity. We don't believe that, but you still believe that bid'ah thought of theirs, that teenagers are automatically evil. Here they come. Girls walking down the middle of the street. Here they come. Well, that didn't happen because it was natural. It happened because they weren't taught. It happened because the people responsible for their tarbiyah, responsible for their what? Their nurturing, their education, kind of dropped the ball. In which case, what happens if that happens? Allah said to Shaitan he could do what? He told him he could share in their children and their money if they dropped it. Yes, Nuh alayhi salam's son was drowned with the non-Muslims. He did. He drowned with them. But till the very end, what was Nuh doing? He's calling. He's calling. He's calling. He was calling him right to the very end. Then he drowned. And even then, he sort of prayed to Allah with each other. He could get some respite for him. But it has to be that. You have to stick. You have to stick. That means you have to have something to give them. You have to give them something. Not give them. They have to have tarbiyah. Because you don't live in a place where you're being supported for the Islamic education of your children. And the reason I brought that up because it's a type of bid'ah. It's one of those understandings. It's one of those understandings that teenagers are automatically evil by some people. I just give up. All right, here it comes. I give up. Nah, we don't believe that. We believe that human beings are what? Good. So he will be good and she will be good if you do it. You do a good job. And you need your brothers and sisters along with you to do that job. And you need people trained in it to do the job also. Which means what? You can't be satisfied sometimes with a little bit. You have to have the ability to do what you need to do. So that's one of their bid'ahs, one of their understandings, one of their innovations in human. And they actually went on ahead and made movies about bad teenagers, and they made stories about bad teenagers. And to this very day, adolescence is something they challenge the parent about. So your kid has to have some hip hop in his life. Don't you know that? They need some Nicki Minaj. Somebody says they need some young men. Whoa. they need some Jay-Z. You know, they call him a cultural builder. He's considered a cultural builder. I'm talking about by intellectuals. The man's name I just called is considered. Can you imagine that? A cultural builder. So what culture is being built? That's the question you have to ask yourself. What culture is being built? It looks more international now. It looks more universal. Whites and blacks and Hispanics and everybody all together. But building a culture, what culture is being built? That means that you have to combat even that social bid'ah. You have to combat the idea. I mean, struggle with each other, even along with each other, to stop the idea of bad manners and bad behavior. Because that's what it breeds. It breeds bad manners and bad behavior. It says to a young person that if you're in front of somebody who's important, you should act this way, but around your people, you should act this way, and you should have different personalities and different characters for different times and places. And the internet is what? It's your source of freedom. I apologize, Barakallah. You all right? Your internet is what? It's your source of freedom. And you can say whatever you want. But angels don't record on the internet. Internet, they don't record on the internet. So on the Facebook, like one brother said, you Facebook, you might face hell. You Facebook, you might face hell. I said, well, he's just criticizing. No. They're saying the technology is good. The technology is wonderful. If you practice the religion, you will have the consciousness to know what to do with it and what not to do with it. That's what I'm saying. Your line of demarcation, your line of discipline of what to right from wrong, that's what the Deen of Islam does for you. If you will not follow the Deen of Islam and the way you look at the religion and the way you look at life, you'll go wrong. You'll go wrong because you'll be invited to do what? To innovate in character. ما جاء إن البدع أشد من الكبائر. Bid'ah is worse than major sin. What's the bid'ah? It is they bring it to the religion for what purpose? That you get closer to Allah without dalil, without sanction from the Kitab or the Sunnah. They're going to get near to Allah without any proof from the Quran and Sunnah that it does so. قال تعالى إن الله لا يغفر أن يشرك به ويغفر ما دون ذلك لمن يشاء. Translated to mean Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not forgive that people make shirk with him, does not forgive it, but forgives anything else other than that he wills to. قال تعالى فمن أظلم ممن افترى على الله كذبا ليضل الناس بغير علم. And who is more an oppressor than somebody who invents something about Allah as a lie to lead people astray without knowledge? This is the worst kind of person that there is. طيب معنى. What's the meaning? Sheikh Ibn Baz explains. The meaning أن البدعة أكبر من الكبائر. That bid'ah is worse than a major sin. لأنها تنقص الإسلام, because it negates things from Islam. It says Islam is not what? It's not complete. So I need to do extra. And we just read the verse in the beginning to say that. The Quran says that Islam is perfect and is complete. Now, وإحداث في الإسلام, and it's innovating in Islam. وإتهام الإسلام بالنقص. It is also an accusation against Islam that Islam is not complete. And it's also an accusation against the Messenger of Allah that he didn't do what? He didn't bring the message. It's an accusation against the Messenger that he did not bring the message. فَهَذَا يُبْتَدَأْ وَيَزِيدُ. So therefore he innovates and he adds to the religion. أَمَّا الْمَعَاصِي. As for the sinner, فَهِيَ إِتْبَاعٌ لِلْهَوَى وَطَاعَةٌ لِلشَّيْطَانِ فهي أسهل من بدعة وصاحبها قد يتوب ويسرع ويتعرض. The Shaykh goes on and says, as for sin, the ma'asi, things like what? Like stealing, things like committing fornication and adultery. He said, here it's bad in hawa. He said, this is caused by following hawa. What's it caused by? It's caused by following hawa. Desires? Give me a little more. You've been around a while. A little vinaigrette, tomatoes and lettuce. I mean, toss it all up. Hawa. What about them? The Sheikh said that, first of all, bid'ah different than the sin. Because bid'ah is a person's accusation that Islam is not complete. So when he makes wudu, he has to do what? Wipe the back of his neck with his hand. It's a bid'ah. That's what. You know, it's almost out of. You don't see that people do that anymore. Alhamdulillah, showing that Dawah Salafiyah has taken hold. You don't see people do that anymore. He said, "What about this?" I said, "We don't do that. What's wrong with you? Where that come from?" He said, "Because years ago we all used to do it. Many of us used to do it. Come from a book called what? Called Everyday Fiqh. It was all around everywhere. Now, what is it? What is it? Hawa. It's men yariful haqq. It's the person who knows what's true, but what? La yuriduhu. He doesn't want it. Doesn't want to do it. He said this is itba' al-hawa. This is a person following his desire, and he's also obeying shaitan. The sinner is doing what? Ta'at shaitan. فَهِيَ أَسْهَلُ. This is easier min bid'ah. He said this is easier, more simple than bid'ah. Because the person who sins is liable to do what? Is liable to make tawbah from his sin and return to what's correct. Because if you ask a cigarette smoker, is cigarette smoking halal or haram? If he has knowledge, he'll say what? Right. He won't say it's makruh, right? Nah. Why would he say it's makruh? Because years ago, people thought the judgment only dealt with the smell and, that it was smoky and it stunk. But now people know because of scientific research that it causes cancer and emphysema and other things. Blindness of the eye, possibly, from a little whiff of smoke that pops you in the eye every time you smoke a cigarette. Blindness in the eye. Now, it could cause other people to lose their lives because of what? Contact smoke. Contact. People know that, right? So even the smoker will say what? The smoker will say, haram. He realizes he has to do what? He has to tazkiyah. He has to purify himself from it. So it's this possibility that he will do what? That he will purify himself from it and make tawbah. As for the mubtada, amma sahib al-bid'ah, fayara annu masib. This one believes he's right. This one believes he's correct. Now, why? He thinks he's right. He thinks what he's doing is getting near to Allah Azza wa Jalla. وَأَنُّهُ مُجْتَهِدٌ فَيَسْتَمِرُ بِالْبِدْعَةِ وَنَعُوذُ بِاللَّهِ. He said, and not just that, but he strives to do it. هُوَ مُجْتَهِدٌ. He's correct, and he tries to do it more. And so he continues to do it. And Shaykh sought refuge in Allah from that. وَيَرَى الَّذِينَ نَاقِص فَهُوَ بِحَاجَةٍ إِلَى بِدْعَتِهِ. And he sees that people who don't do that bid'ah, that they're naqis, and so he needs this bid'ah to do what? To strengthen himself. Like those people who make dhikr jama'iyyah. Allah, Allah, Allahu Akbar, Allah, 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 Allah. Some people doing this so many years, if you told them that wasn't right to do, they would go, what do you mean it's not right? My father did this. My grandfather did this. Bring it to black. People have been practicing Kwanzaa for years. Tell them that Kwanzaa is an innovation and they shouldn't do it, they'll look at you like you're nuts. You mean I can't light the candles? It's not part of the religion? You guys don't want to do nothing. Nobody seen a Kwanzaa do it? Yeah, of course. Yeah. He was told that it was something beneficial. Maybe his father told him. So now he says that, now he hears it on TV. Congratulations, Merry Christmas, Happy Kwanzaa. It's reached a proportion of celebrity now. Got to have the candles. Say, this is an innovation in the religion. You can't. This is sin. You can't do this. Fight you. When you have a sala amr bid'ah, Sheikh says, for this reason, this affair of bid'ah, ashad wa akhtar min na'asiyah. So that makes this bid'ah because the person strives to do it. He strives to do it. He believes he's right to do it. And he strives and continues to do it. He said it makes this more dangerous than what? Than major sins. It makes it more dangerous than sin. قال تعالى في أهل المعاصي ويغفر ما دون ذلك لمن يشاء. And Allah says about the sinner in his verse, and he forgives other than that what he wills. Meaning for people who commit sin. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgives the sinner. It's not a permission to do sin. Because the sin is what? The sin is under the will of Allah. If he wants to forgive a person for that sin, he'll forgive him. If not, he will do what? He'll punish him for that. No one looks forward to the punishment of Allah. No one looks forward to that. فَأَهْلُ الْمَعَاصِي تَحْتَ الْمَشِيئَةِ. Sheikh said it here. He said, أَهْلُ الْمَعَاصِي, the sinners are under the will of Allah. أَمَّا أَهْلُ الْبِدْعَةِ فَذَنْبُهُمْ عَظِيمٌ وَخَطْرُهُم شَدِيدٌ. As for أهل البدعة, ذنبهم, their sin is عظيم. It is great. It's great. وَخَطْرُهُم شَدِيدٌ. And their danger is something which is shadid. It is severe. Thank you. It's severe. Then the bid'atuhum, لأن بدعتهم معناها التنقص للإسلام. Because their bid'ah means that they're claiming that Islam has shortcomings. What is Islam? وأنه محتاج لهذا البدعة ويرى صاحبها أنها محق. So he needs this bid'ah He needs to do it, and the one who does it, he believes he's right. وَيَسْتَمِرْ عَلَيْهَا. So he continues with it. وَيَبْقَى عَلَيْهَا. And he stays on it. وَيُجَادِلْ عَنْهَا. And he argues about it. نسأل الله العافية. The Shaykh asks Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala al-afiyah, protection, well-being from this sin. Barakallahu feekum. I'm going to stop here. Barakallahu feek. What time is it? 2? No, I'm not. I'm stopping. I'm good to stop. Yeah, I'm stopping. I'm good to stop. Thank you. Stop. So let me stop here. I kept it very general, barakallahu feek, because that's the choice I had to do. Keep it general. Are there any questions about anything about what was said? Just what was said. If you try to take me outside the realm of what I said, I don't know. Fadl Islam. Fadl Islam. Muhammad Abdul Wahhab, rahimahullah. Sharh Imam Sharh Sheikh bin Baz, rahimahullah. Look into the issue of, does the Quran and Sunnah foretell of a technology of today? That's the way you connect. Does it? It does. But not but it needs study to understand it in language. It says, for instance, the book says that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has praised in Hadid, Ba'sun Shadid, wa Manafi' lin-nas. Now, Shaykh Abdullaah ibn Sa'di, he said that it has great power in it, meaning when you use it to defend yourself. Hadid. Wa Manafi' lin-nas. And it has great benefits for people. The Shaykh Abdullaah ibn Sa'di said that means that anything that contains hadid in it, anything with iron in it, is part of that verse. It's to benefit the people. Everything with iron. So everything you find with iron, if a car has iron, it's foretelling of the car, made of partly iron. If it has the stem of the microphone, it's foretelling of the stem of the microphone. If it's dealing with wrought iron to put a frame of a house, it's dealing with that. Anything that contains iron or any of the alloys of iron. Is aluminum an alloy of iron? Iron, is it? I'm asking you, huh? Aluminum is not an alloy, but thank you. Okay. But all these things have to do with that, no? All of them. So you understand how the verses run, and people won't be lost because parts of the world are state of the art Muslim. Parts of the world. How do you think they became state of the art and Muslim too? Saudi Arabia has state of the art things. UAE has state of the art things in it. Kuwait has state of the art things in it. How did they do that? Why did they do that? They understood they could. There's no raji'iyya. There's no, you're going backwards if you follow the sunnah. La. You don't understand how to apply it in the world. Apply it in the world. Yani, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given everybody the asbab. He's given everyone the means. The time and the means come from Allah azza wa jalla. They don't come from people. Those means come from Allah azza wa jalla. There's nothing that's not connected to asbab. As Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah ta'ala pointed out. Everything connected to asbab. So you take the means. Don't be afraid to be educated. Don't be afraid to be educated in religion and to have an education in the world so that you can contribute. You can worship and you can contribute righteously without being afraid. Men first. On the outside. Sheikh Fawzan has a nice book, The Role of Women in taking care of their family and the role of the society. It's a very nice book. It shows that women today have to know a lot more about how to rear children than they used to. Because they had the help of the man. The time today puts men outside more than it did before. The time is really stretched out for men. And she has to know a lot. She has to contribute a lot to it. That's parts of nutrition, that's clothing, she has to know nutrition because today if you don't know what you're doing and feeding a child, you can hurt a child severely. You don't know what you're doing. So we all have to know. So it's hard work. There's no time to sit in front of the I me first phone and the I me first pad. iPad and iPhones. This is not I time. It's us time. Be careful. What do they call it? Narcissism? Is that what it's called? Yeah, narcissism. Yeah, it's only about me. And I want to talk. I'm looking at my thing right now. Don't bother me. It's having a little effect too. Everybody, if you give out 5 of them and 5 people, you have 5 places in the house. You trip over little kids. This is my time. I'm looking at my thing here. Touch. Brother.
What was the name of the shit that you said?
Sheikh Abdul Rahman bin Sa'di. Sheikh Abdul Rahman bin Sa'di, rahimahullah ta'ala. He puts it in his tafsir, he mentions in his tafsir and other small books that he's written. Abdul Rahman ibn Sa'di. Ibn Sa'di. So this is general.